Today on What Went Wrong, what happens when you've been bit by the bug. Hi, I'm Brett Mauser, and I've made over 40 feature films and worked with a lot of actors. And to be honest, some will come and go, and some will be in the game for just a couple years, and then some will be the true actors and will stick with it through the long haul. Yeah. Today, we're with one of the people that has stuck with it through the long haul, Xavier Vanderblue.
What's up, y'all? How y'all doing today? We good?
You were in Lady Lawmen and Tag Conspiracy, and Lady Lawmen was the first time we worked together.
Yes.
And just on that day alone, I could tell you knew what you were doing. You were there for. You were one of the professionals. You came in, especially. I mean, it was cold out there.
And, no, it was cold as hell. Let's get that out the way right now. It was cold as hell out there, bro.
And then we had horses around, and we were doing a lot of shooting that day. Then in Tag Conspiracy, you can kind of see that I kind of wrote that part for you because your character in Lady Lawmen was Peters, and we brought you back as Peters in Tag Conspiracy.
It all just worked out, man. Like, I appreciate that for sure.
Oh, hey, when we meet someone who's there and ready to is going to be there on a cold day for 8, 10, 12, however many hours we were there, and not bitch and moan, and just be there, and okay, we need you over here. You're over there.
On it, bro.
And plus, you got to beat up Joey. So
I did beat the hell out of him. It all worked out for me.
Now, we'll go back a little bit to that. Do you remember the ricochets? The property we were on only allowed bow hunting, but a couple properties over, they were actually deer hunting with rifles and everything. So how was that experience?
I ain't gonna lie, I was nervous and scared because I hear all the ricochets around me. I'm like, please don't hit me, please don't hit me. But it was cool.
Yeah. Well, a majority of us are we're Texans, so we know firearms, and we could hear how far they were away. So if there was any danger, we would have wrapped it and said, oh no, we're not gonna, because that's the last thing I need is somebody to, just as you're about to hit Joey, you fall down. What happened? I thought he was supposed to. No, I got hit in the head with a shell. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So to tell us a little bit about your history. How did you get into acting, and what brought you into the world of film?
Yeah, sure. So I've been acting for about 10 or 11 years. I started in high school, so I had my acting coach. His name was Mr. Berger, and what was supposed to just be an easy A so I can get my degree ended up becoming something I fell in love with. We used to do all these, improv drills, and he used to help me with my speech, articulation, what to do in this situation. And then we kind of evolved from that after high school. Went to college, Northwest Vista. Shout out to Alicia Tafoya. She's the one that really helped me get to the next level in terms of acting. And it just took off from there. Like I was telling you a little bit earlier, like on my final day, I had to do a monologue. And on that same day, I booked a role. So I had to run out to Austin, shoot this commercial. And it was just a domino effect after that. Like once you, it's a rare thing for you to book your first ever gig, project, whatever. Normally it's an instant no, it was trash, do it again. But when that happens, you feel like you can actually do it, and when you have that kind of confidence, it just repeats itself. So that's how it started.
That's similar to what happened with one of my producers, Brad, who first time he was a producer was on Barrio Angels, and the production just went smooth as can be. Yeah. So he thought, well, this is easy, and then the next movie came along and found out it wasn't as easy. So let's build on that a little bit. The not getting that first audition doesn't mean that you're not good.
Right. Like the thing of it is, there's casting directors, they see so many different people every single day, and just because you didn't get one role, that doesn't mean you're not good. It just means that they either saw something in somebody else that they wanted to run with, or just had an idea. It could even just be a spur of the moment idea that they had in the casting, and that's why somebody got a job over you. So don't necessarily take it as you didn't do a good job, but just build off of that. They called you, right? They wanted to see you for a reason. So
yeah, it could just be a look. It could just be a tone and a voice. But it can also plant a seed in that director's mind, especially in independent film. There was an actor who sent me an audition tape for Tag Conspiracy for one of the lead roles. He didn't get it, but the audition made me think, oh, I've got to write a character for this guy because he presented himself in a way that I hadn't seen him act before. And I thought, oh, this is a cool character. I want to see where I can take this guy. So it plants that seed. Maybe the next film or the film down the road,
Right.
you'll get that role.
Right.
So don't get discouraged. Keep at it and keep plugging away.
Yes, sir.
Going to go back a little bit to the teachers that you've had. How important is it to have that good teacher? Do you think that if you'd had a different teacher that maybe didn't push you as hard or didn't inspire you as well, that you wouldn't be doing this?
Yeah, for sure. Like if I had teachers if I didn't have teachers that believed in me, I wouldn't be where I am today, right? And if I didn't have teachers that pushed me to go that extra mile, I'd say I would be like subpar. I'd accept the bare minimum and hope to God I'm gonna get away with it, and that's just not gonna work, So once you start picking up on your improv classes, you know what to do. You're looking at everything around you. Like you'll see me on set all the time. I'm not filming anything. I'm just looking to see what's around me, to see what I can do. What can I build off of with my surroundings? They taught me that, So it just goes a long way when you know the right people and have the right connections to do what you want to do. And they just kind of turn you into like a little superhero, So it works out.
When you're on set, especially like in independent films or whatnot, you're looking around, you're watching things. Do you think it's important to make those observations and maybe just watch what the lighting guy is doing, or just what the audio guy is doing, and how does that help you as an actor?
It kind of, if I have an idea of what the cast is, or the crew is looking for when they're filming, I know how to make their job easier. So if I see that they're playing with this light right here, they're making it bounce off of something that has this real cool color, I know that if I do some primary work with this light, it's going to be, one, it's going to be in the project, and two, that's what they're looking for, So it's just small things like that you pick up on, as an actor, especially when you're on set multiple times and you have, good coaches and stuff like that. You learn those small things that the crew is looking for, so.
For the people that maybe in high school or in college that maybe are on the fence as to whether this is something that they want to pursue, what are some of the positives and negatives of being in this field, being an actor?
For sure, a positive is in acting, you can turn yourself into whoever you want to be. Like at least working with you, I've seen you give me a script, but you don't necessarily tell me who you want this person to be, right? You let me have full control over whatever that is, and you have freedom to bring your aspect of the film to life. The downside is most people get into acting for the wrong reasons. So a lot of people, they'll try to book a job, they're trying to become rich in the first day or whatever, like, I'm going to be a millionaire from booking this one scene. It doesn't work that way. But if you consistently, network with the right people, do what you're supposed to do, continuously, work on projects, you'll gain experience. And who knows, that money might come, it might not. But as long as you're in it for the right reasons, you'll never feel like you're disappointed in the final outcome. So
sometimes you have to cast just based on a look or just, I've got to have this person in it because they're just perfect. But I like working with the people that want to be there because it's fun,
right.
That they enjoy their work. Your first day on set or the first time that you're cast, have you had different experiences between sometimes when a director or producer will give you a lot of information on a character and then sometimes they give you basically nothing but a script?
Yeah.
And how do you deal with those two different spectrums?
Well, if they don't give me too much information on the character, I take that as a sign of freedom, so I get to try different things to see what really works for them, and they'll kind of guide me from there. But if I also have a director that's giving me like step-by-step instructions of what the character is, I guess they have an idea of what they want, so I'll comply to that and try to make sure I put my own personal flavor into it as well and make sure that works with them. It's kind of give and take, but as long as I have some kind of direction, I know what to do.
There are some actors who out there will take offense to one way or the other, that they're like, well, they're being too strict on what they want. I wanted to bring this character. What do you say to those people?
You just got to chill for a little bit, like just take a chill pill, take a step back, because, these directors, they have an idea in their head and they're trying to get it on film, right? So it's okay to try different things and see what works, but if it's something completely different than what the director wanted, you're kind of going to piss them off in the long run. You might not work with them too often. So you just kind of have to find that proper balance, if that makes sense.
Have you ever made a misstep in how you wanted to play a character? You thought, this will be really good, and then you started playing it out, and it was like, maybe this was the wrong direction to take it.
That hasn't happened quite yet, but I think, it's going to happen eventually. Don't get me wrong. It's going to happen. It happens to the best of us, but it just hasn't happened yet.
What are some of the roles that you feel like you really want to take on? Or, do you feel like you, have played characters that you like? Do you just kind of grab what you take? I don't want to say take what you can get, but that kind of aspect, or are there roles that you're like, I want to play this type role?
Well, first things first, I love comedy, so I want to be in some big comedy project. Well, not just necessarily big, but a comedy project. I haven't done that yet. Mm-hmm. But a lot of the roles that I've played in before, they were pretty much tailored to what I like to do anyway. Right, so I was able to just be myself and take it to a whole nother level. But I still want to get to that comedy role. I like making people laugh. So if I can do that, it'll show me where I actually am and where I want to head in my career. So that's the next goal right there. So keep me in mind.
As soon as you said that, I was like, "Yo, I know this. Oh, this will be great. I know this role. Oh yeah, what about this movie?"
Appreciate you.
So this is called "What Went Wrong." So what are some of your experiences on set of where things just really went wrong? Ricochets and bullets flying around your head.
Yeah, so like I was telling you earlier on Lady Law, man, it was so damn cold out there, right? I'm shivering and all that stuff. I forgot somebody brought their truck up and they let me just chill inside their truck, turn the heater on. I'm just shaking like a leaf. In my mind, I'm like, all right, I got to make sure I do all my lines correctly, because if I this up, I have to stand outside for another 10 minutes. And I didn't want that to happen. So I had to keep my professional face on, knock out the lines, and then run back into the truck. But outside of that, everything else ran smoothly. I was turning into a pack of frozen vegetables that day. I haven't necessarily messed up too many times, but when it comes to like lines and stuff like that, I'll be honest, I'm not the best with lines. Even in the Tag Conspiracy, I fumbled some of my lines from time to time.
Let's go ahead and go with the walk.
But as long as you have somebody that's there, like Dub was there, he helped me pick up my lines pretty quickly. And even if it wasn't exactly what you wrote, I was able to figure out something close enough that the scene still made sense. Yeah. And then it never got to a point where you were like, hey, Xavier, you this up so bad, you need to reshoot it, follow the script. That never happened, so that's good, but it happens to the best of us. We forget sometimes.
How is it when the difference between working with an actor that's really helping you feed, giving you something to feed off of? Now, that's one thing that I know that Dub has talked a lot about. I think you're one of the actors that he came up to, hey, am I giving you what you need?
Yeah.
And he's very courteous and respectful and wants to help you give your best performance, versus the people that are just maybe some of the method actors that are just going to be in character and are going to separate themselves from you. What's that experience like?
It makes a difference. Like it's a professionalism thing for me. Like if I can feed off of your energy and you're feeding back into mine, we can make something real special happen. But if you're not giving me that, I feel like, all right, come on, give me something. Am I doing this on my own? Are we in this scene together? Like, what are we doing? So that was one of the things that Dub talked to me about. He always asked me, hey, are you good? Am I giving you what you need? Or can I do something better for you? It just makes you more comfortable and makes you more willing to want to work with this person, because they've done this before. Like they're trying to make your character as good as it possibly can be, because it benefits them too. So
yes, and if you watch those scenes between the two of you, especially that one where you're investigating the murder on the side of the road, even though you don't have that intense of a dialogue, you still feel this camaraderie between the two of you. Yeah. When you'd only met like a day before or something like that, and that's sort of where chemistry comes into play. Sometimes it's there, sometimes it's not. But if it's not there, you still got to build it as an actor. How have you ever felt that, where you're not quite feeling the chemistry on set, but yet you have to somehow bring that? How do you do that?
Yeah, because that's I'm glad you asked that, because the first time I ever felt any chemistry on set was working with Dub on the Tag Conspiracy.
Really?
Even though I did a good job with the Lady Lawmen, I wasn't really close with most of the cast that was there. That was the first time I had met any of you guys. So I'm like, I'm in my own little zone over here. You guys are doing your work over here, and we just meet in the middle to make it work. But it was fun, but I still felt a little awkward in that situation. Chemistry wasn't as strong, but the second time we were on fire. So it just goes a long way.
Yeah. I think you got to build a little bit of a rapport with people. Now, the first time that you did work with us was all the way out there in Seminole.
Middle of nowhere.
How does it feel to get cast? Now, we may be a little bit different because you can look us up, you can research us, and you can find all the films that we've done, and we're not just a fly-by-night company. But some people won't necessarily do that. How does it feel to work with somebody for the first time and then have you go out in the middle of nowhere where they could probably, take you into a cabin and chop you up into little bits and pieces?
That crossed my mind once or twice. Like, they speak highly of you, so I knew you weren't going to kidnap me or anything like that. But it was different. I'll tell you that much. I've never booked my first project with somebody and they tell me, hey, we need you to drive 100 miles this direction, meet us at this stop sign. We
would have road numbers and addresses. Make a left at the Dairy Queen.
Yeah, and then when you get there, somebody will meet you there and show you, come on now. But it was cool. It all worked out.
Yeah, that was one thing that's so frustrating to me about one of my producers, Jake, is he'll be like, just make a left here, go 1.2 miles down here, make another right. I'm like, just give me an address, dude. Well, it doesn't show up in Google. Well, give me something that I can direct people to go. Yeah. Well, I'll just have Adolf out there standing on the side of the road directing people in. I will put a sign out.
And at that time I didn't know who Adolf was. So who the hell am I looking for?
You're looking for a dude with a mustache and a little red armband.
Yeah, like who is Adolf? But I know him now. But at that time, I had no idea who he was.
Yeah. So yeah, that's insanity. Yeah, one of our we had an actress during the Innocent. No, it was right before the Innocent Saga, the ballerina. This was a life lesson learned, and we were shooting out in Kyle. Lytle, Texas, which is it's not too far out, not quite Sabinal. But again, it was a little warehouse ranch out in the middle of nowhere, and we had to shoot with this actress for the very first time out there, and that's really difficult with actresses, because there's that safety and concern issue as well there. Right. But fortunately, we were able to make her very comfortable. So we're out there, and the next day that we were supposed to be shooting with her was supposed to be a sex scene. And Matt was the actor who was going to be having, the sex scene with her. Mm-hmm. Matt and I were throwing around ideas earlier in the day about a bit. We were going to throw in a bit with a condom, just a little bit of a gag joke, because he actually had 2 sex scenes and it was in the same place. So it was in Ballerina, and he's a mafia guy, and he was testing out a new prostitute in front of his girlfriend. Ooh. And just before he starts the deed, we had the idea to have her throw a condom at him. Well, that was our idea, and we're wrapping up for the night for the first day that we're shooting with her. We wrap up that shoot, and we're packing up and getting ready to go. And and we hadn't told her about that new little bit where she's going to throw the condom at Matt, and out of nowhere, I'm throwing stuff in, and it's just the 3 of us. It's just the actress, me, and Matt. And as I'm throwing stuff in the truck, he says, "Oh, Brett, don't forget the condoms for tomorrow." And her eyes popped open because she was like, "Whoa, whoa, whoa, whoa." And I was at the same thing. Whoa, 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 whoa! Wait a minute! Let me explain. Let me explain. And I said, okay, we changed the thing where you're going to do this, you're going to do that. And she wound up understanding, had a good laugh about it, and then she came in. And anytime we do in any of my films, when there's a sex scene or nudity, it's always played for laughs. I never, because it's so uncomfortable to begin with.
Yeah. Have
you ever had uncomfortable scenes that you've had to act in, whether it's just kissing or anything, more provocative?
Well, not really. The only thing that I've ever had to do that I wasn't 100% on board with, what was the name of that short film? It doesn't matter. But long story short, they wanted me to portray the role of a gay guy at a bar. And mind you, I did it well. I was a pretty good gay guy, but I ain't gay. So it's like, should I do it? But I ended up knocking out the role, and I never talked about it again.
I'm right there with you.
Yeah.
Do you have advice for somebody who's an actor and they show up on set and the director asks them to cross a boundary that they don't want to cross? What does an actor do in that situation?
It's like that's a conversation that you have to have directly with the director. Like, hey, this isn't something that you told me about up front, and if I'm not 100% on board with it, I'm probably either going to have to back out, or we're going to have to, rewrite something like this. It doesn't work the way that we talked about earlier. So there's a right way and a wrong way to do it. You don't want to burn any bridges, or be disrespectful by any means. But like I said earlier, if they spring up some crap that you had no idea about beforehand, you let them know, and then you let the pieces fall where they must after that. So
yeah, and it's exactly the same for a film director. They should not, if the actor's not comfortable, you shouldn't hold it against them.
Right.
It says, hey, you just brought this on last minute.
Right.
That's not right to do. But but it's perfectly all right to have that conversation.
Right.
To, hey, I had this idea last night. How do you feel about X?
Right.
And it should be a mutual conversation.
Absolutely.
If the person's not comfortable, then move on.
Right.
It's tough, sometimes, because you as the director have this vision and you really want the film to just be absolutely perfect. But sometimes your vision isn't right, and the actor can see that.
Right.
And that's something that actors have helped me with my films. There's nothing like an actor coming up and saying, my character wouldn't do this. And to have that conversation, for me, that's some of the funnest parts of filmmaking, is having the dialogue and having those conversations about the movie, about the characters.
Yeah.
And it helps build. Talking about building, how do you build a character when you get that first script? What do you do to create that character in your head?
Well, it really depends on the script itself. Like, for let's say, for example, the Tag Conspiracy, you gave me, the script, I looked at the lines, so I kind of envisioned who Peters was, but he didn't really have his own identity yet, So once I figured out, what you wanted, I was able to turn this guy into whatever I wanted. So I kind of turned him into this asshole, and it kind of, I just fed off of that asshole vibe, and it kind of gave everybody else the energy that they needed to continue their scenes, right? So that's, you just kind of have a creative vision when you have the script, and then you can just take it from there and like level it up from there.
Yeah, and that's why I like actors like you so much, is I can get, because especially when you have a lot of characters like in the Tag Conspiracy, even some of the extras and the goons at the end and the big final warehouse scene, I'm concentrating as a writer on 4 or 5 of those main characters. Right. And I don't have a lot of time and effort to put into the supporting roles in a lot of those other characters. I have some ideas of directions that I want to go with, but to be able to hand over a character and say, bring this person to life, is a great joy. And it makes my job easier in to be able to trust and rely on an actor like you to make that character interesting rather than just regurgitating lines on a screen.
Right.
Any last words of advice or any last piece of advice that you'd like to give actors that may just be starting out, wondering how to get into the game, or people who have been doing this for a little while, maybe getting a little discouraged?
The best advice that I can give anybody: stay consistent. Even if you haven't had an audition this year, or you've had plenty of auditions and no callbacks, a lot of people don't even get the audition, right? So just start taking small things to build off of to keep your confidence up and keep moving from there, man. And if you've been in the game long enough, you already know it has its ups and downs. Just don't get discouraged. Another thing, agents. I know a lot of you guys want to talk about agents, and I need an agent to do this. You don't. Okay, like all agents do is put you on stuff like casting networks, backstage, or whatever, and take 20% of your money. You can do that by yourself, make connections on your own, and that takes you a lot farther than most of these agents can really do it. And of course, there's a lot of top name agents. You get one of those, you run with it. But other than that.
Yeah, a lot of the agents you're going to find in Texas and local, are going to do just what you can do by yourself.
Right.
Which is, they're just going to save you a little bit of time, but
right.
They're going to be able to put you on all the boards. But that's stuff that you can do as well.
You do it on your own.
Yeah.
So I guess that's the secondary piece of that, is do some research, figure out what you can do, and most of the part, like you said, they do the same exact thing. So.
Yeah, and then when you reach that level where CAA is knocking at your door, then you take that,
right.
then you take that and go.
Then you got to start making some phone calls and get you some bigger representation.
Exactly.